Hello, gorgeous people. Happy Wednesday. Good morning. Welcome to the morning show. How are you feeling? Happy Wednesday. Happy midweek. Happy hurricane if you're right in the midst of that. How are you feeling? So, today we're talking about why you are in a season of pressure, why you're feeling pressure, the point of it, and how to navigate it extremely powerfully so that you can get the gold from it and come out on top. I'm so excited to dive in with you today. This is one of those topics that's really going to make some things click for you. This is going to really help you to understand what's happening inside of you when you go through a season of pressure. And like always, my goal is so that you have the education, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding so that you stop making yourself wrong. Because that is the ultimate sabotage. That's the word. Good morning. Hi, Erica. Okay, let's see. Is there anything I need to cover before we dive in? We opened up the Miracle Matrix yesterday. Doors officially opened to that portal. I'm so excited to kick off these next 3 months with the women inside. It is going to be an absolutely magical experience. And I said this yesterday, but this happens to me every now and then when I open up a container that really feels like a very big, buzzy, very next level energy. When I open it up and I do the introduction call, I feel all the feels, like all of the oh my god, like blah, 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 blah. It's like the human part of me, it comes out and is like, this is so big. And so in those times, it's like I've got to embrace that. So here's a beautiful lesson for you all to take away. When you are in a precipice of going into a new level, you're going to feel all the feels. Like you're going to feel the feels. You're going to feel the bigness of it because our bodies sense what is to come before our minds do, which is so cool. And it's something I've really had to learn over the years and understand that just because you feel like a lot going on inside your body, whether it feels like an acceleration or a rush of energy or just an uncertainty or a nervousness, that is always your body sensing the higher vibration coming in. But if we have a mentality of, I'm afraid of the world, or I'm afraid of something bad happening, or I'm afraid of something going wrong, your mind will interpret that feeling as something bad. Your mind will interpret the feeling as anxiety and something bad is going to happen. And then you start making up that story. So when you're feeling a lot, when you're on the brink of entering a new level of life where you've never been in this exact space before, your body is going to sense that bigness before your mind can really comprehend what's happening. So watch your stories is what I'm saying. When you feel a big energy, just feel the big energy. It's big energy. Your mind's going to make up a million things. Your mind is going to try to say like you don't know what you're doing, you can't go here or there when we don't even know what here or there is. Your mind is going to make up a story about the energy. Don't do that. As much as you can, don't do that. Just be with the energy because our minds cannot predict where we're going. Our minds are only an interpreter of what we have experienced in the past and what we're currently experiencing in the present. Our minds do not have the capability to predict what can come. And this is a really cool understanding to really step into and embody, because when we're in a space that we've never been in before, when you're on the brink of the unknown, this is your opportunity to begin creating a different level of life. But the mind's going to freak out because it can't predict, because it doesn't know what's coming, and so it's going to try to interpret the future based on the past. We consciousness, higher level consciousness that's witnessing all of this, who you actually are, has to be in a centered place that says, I know I can feel that there's something really big and different coming. I know that my mind does not have the capability to comprehend it. So I'm just going to experience. I'm just going to allow the flow. And the beautiful thing is, when you are on the precipice of a level of life you've never been in before, it is essentially a blank canvas. And this is one of my favorite places to be because even though it feels kind of uncomfortable because we've got the uncertainty and we've got all of the fears about what could be, when you are entering a new level, meaning you've never been here before, you can't predict it, you don't know what's going to happen, you're becoming an entirely different version of yourself. That is your opportunity to begin creating your life because you're no longer on repeat. As much as we talk about the loop, like the pattern, the looping reality that you don't want to be in, being stuck in it, as much as we want out of that, you know what I'm about to say, that loop is comforting. That loop is familiar. Our mind actually loves the loop. So when we start breaking free from the looping reality, you can start to almost sabotage it by listening to the mind because the mind is going to say, it's bad, it's dangerous, don't go there. But in actuality, this has been your goal the whole time. Break free of the looping reality. Amen. Okay, so today we're talking about why you feel pressure, why you are in a season of pressure if that's where you are. And we're going to talk about why it happens and what it actually is supposed to be doing for you. As we all know, you guys know I love when you know more, you do more, and you can do it better. So, when you're in a season of pressure, obviously we know what this feels like, right? It's like the world feels like it's kind of closing in on you. It feels this little kind of elevated heart rate all the time. It feels as though like you're just trying to keep up. Um just like pressure. You know what I mean? When you're in that season, what is actually happening is you have entered, let me see if I can explain this really simply. We have our ego, which our ego is always aware of what we don't have, right? Our ego is what creates that, but I want that. I don't have that, so I'm not happy and I want that. And it creates this dissatisfaction with the present moment and simultaneously gives you a goal to shoot towards. Now, the problem with that is that if we allow the ego to dominate us, we will constantly be in a state of unhappiness because the ego is never happy in the present moment because it doesn't have the capability to be in the present moment. The ego is always looking outward. It's always saying, we need to go there. We don't have that. We need to get this. Ego represents the domain of what you do not have or lack. So when we allow ego to be the sole leader, that's going to put you in a state where you're constantly feeling unhappy and you're constantly feeling in lack. Okay. But it has its purpose. I know the ego gets a bad rep, but it has its purpose. Okay. So you've got ego. The truth of who you are is your higher consciousness. This is your soul. Soul is ever present. And not only is it ever present, it has the capability to transcend time. Your soul is like, I already have everything I need. Everything is beautiful and perfect. It's unfolding in its perfect timing. It's almost like the bird's eye view. So your higher self can see all of the things happening simultaneously. When you are leading from this consciousness, you are ever present. And in the moment of presence, you can only feel calm, peaceful, and happy. The ego disappears. You feel me on this? So, ego does not have the capability to be present. It is always like going into the future or making the past wrong. It's always outside of this moment. Soul is the exact opposite. So we have our polarity that's happening inside of us all the time. We've got ego saying, I need to go after these things. I don't have these things. I'm not happy until I get these things. And then we have soul saying, everything is everywhere. And I'm beautiful and happy. And the present is so awesome. And look at what's happening right now. Like we've got these contradicting things. Okay. So without the ego and you're just existing in soul consciousness, if you're everything everywhere, there's no pressure, right? There's no pressure. There's no need to even really do anything. There's no need to go after I am everything everywhere. The present moment is all that exists. What is there to do? Where is there to go? Who cares, right? With the soul consciousness, there is zero pressure. Now, once we bring in ego, now, like I said before, if we have solely ego and not the balance of the two, you're going to be feeling a um, perpetual lack, perpetual scarcity, perpetual fear, right? We know a lot of people like this. You're going to be feeling that. This is the case of being overly identified with the polarity of ego. Now, in a perfect world, what we're doing is combining the two. When you have soul, and this is your lead in consciousness, think about this as your center of reality. When that's your lead of consciousness, and you know nothing exists except the present moment, the future is not yet written. There's a million different pathways that I can experience. Everything is everywhere. If I want it, it means it's already existing on my pathway. You've got soul. Now you've got ego that comes in and kind of just puts this sort of layer over soul that says, but we don't have this right now. And I want that. I want that because when we have that, that's going to make us feel better. That's going to make us good. That's going to make us whatever. You see what I'm saying? So you've got the truth of who you are that knows you're everything and everywhere and all is well. And then it's layered with the ego that says, but you don't have this yet and you need to go after it. The ego creates the pressure that we need in order for our soul to go after certain physical manifestations that is going to cause us to level up in our soul growth. Did everyone hear it? The ego creates the pressure we need in order to go on the soul's journey. If we were just existing in higher consciousness soul, we wouldn't go on any journeys. We wouldn't do it because we're like, everything is great. I don't need to do anything. What do you mean? But we come into human bodies, we have the ego consciousness that says, but you need to make that level of money. And you need to have even, as silly as material things, like you need to have that car. Don't you want that car? That car will make us so cool. You need to be a better leader. You need to have more influence. You need to have a perfect partner. The ego comes in and creates lack, or better said, the perception of lack, so that our soul will pursue a journey for its own growth. So essentially, what your ego is doing is coming in, making you aware of something you don't currently have, and then creates, like, throws this, the carrot on the stick out in front of you and says, you got to go after it. You got to go do it, go get it. And what that does is it starts to develop a pathway or a journey for our consciousness to kind of go on. And on that journey, we're going to experience challenges. We're going to experience different levels of circumstance, people, opportunities, emotions. It's going to trigger up wounds inside of us. It's going to cause us to level up in who we're being, because that is the whole point of coming into the human existence, is so our soul will go on a growth journey. So when you're feeling pressure is essentially these two things working in tandem to get you to transform in who you are being. Just like pressure is needed to create diamonds, you are no different. When you feel that pressure, you are in a season of growth. Did we hear it? When you feel pressure, nothing has gone wrong. In fact, you are right on track. You are in a season of growth. And that growth, listen here, because if you could just snap your fingers and you could be like, healed in growth, but you didn't actually experience it, you didn't actually go through it, you didn't actually level up in your vibration, which is what you need, which this is why the growth happens, then that would be to say, there's no point to your healing. There's no reason for the pressure. So when we're in a season of growth and when we're feeling pressure, it is because we're being prepared for something that is to come. We need to level up because there's some destiny point, some calling on your soul that you've got to be ready for. And the only way you're going to be ready for it is if you level up in your vibration to be able to handle it. So when you feel pressure, it is like the game is on. Right now is your season of growth. Right now is your season of up level. And as you do that work to up level within yourself, you're going to arrive at the point that was predestined that you needed to be ready for. And you had to go through the challenges. You had to go through the pressure. You had to go through the healing. You had to go through the growth so that you could fulfill this destiny point. Does this click for everyone? Does this make sense? So when you feel pressure, it is because you are growing and strengthening your vibration. It is necessary. It's absolutely necessary. And it's not a bad thing. Does it feel good? No. No. I've had conversations with both of my girls because they're both in really huge seasons of transition. We have one that's going into middle school, one who's entering fifth grade. They're both, hitting the hormone stage where life is giving them more responsibilities. They're feeling more than ever. They're like, what is happening to me? And both of them I've had conversations with where they have spoken about they just feel so much pressure. And when I ask them questions about why and what they're feeling and all of that, everything they describe to me is perfectly natural growth. They're just feeling more than they've ever felt before. They're feeling life increasing their vibration, which is causing that pressure state because they are being readied for the next level of life. We all go through these seasons. We're being prepared all the time. The only difference is when we're kids, like when we're adults looking back on adolescence and the stages of life, we're like, yeah, that makes sense. You're hitting puberty, you're going into your preteen, teenage stage. Like, yeah, life is going to change. You're going to feel different pressures. Life is going to give you different things that you're dealing with. But the difference is once we become adults, we think that we tapped out. We think like, oh, you reach 30 and that's it. Just, cope and survive. You don't really grow from here. It keeps happening. It keeps happening. Just because we don't have these biological chapters and stages of life mapped out for the rest of adulthood doesn't mean that you're not going through seasons to be prepared for levels of your life that you signed up for. Does this make sense? So when you're feeling that pressure, and this is what I told them, like, honey, it's just growth. That's growth. You're going to feel more when you're in a season of growth. Growth is not comfortable. It doesn't feel good, but it's necessary and you can handle it. You can handle it. So when we feel that pressure of growth, one, hear me, don't make it wrong. You're feeling pressure right now in your system? You're feeling life kind of feel like it's closing in on you? Don't make it wrong. Don't make it wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason to make it wrong. All you're feeling is that next level of life coming in. You're feeling that next level of vibration. So the questions you really want to ask yourself when you're at this stage of life is what is life asking of me to one, let go, and to two, level up in? What's the transformation that life is asking me to step into? Because every single time that we face a challenge, every single time that we feel a pressure, every single time that we hit a new level of life, it's asking us to transform in some way. And so if we can be open to that, open to receiving that, open to stepping into that, open to letting go of the past, even yesterday, let go of yesterday, open to letting it go, then we can flow. This is that surrender state, flow into that next level. Are you going to have to level up in a couple of different ways? Probably. Is it going to be easier than you think? Yes. Yes. Because the hardest part is when we make it wrong. So here's another symptom of it. You're tired all the time. If you're super tired, You are 100% going through an up-level transformation season. 100%. But here's again, don't make it wrong. Because if you're tired, you know how that feels. Growth, pressure, tired. You're already feeling it all. You make it wrong, you are layering it and burying yourself under the ground. Don't make it wrong. Because once you make it wrong, you can't really do anything about it. And this is how we set up those labels like depression and anxiety, and I can't do anything. And then we label ourselves into a box and then we just stay stuck there. Don't do that. If you're tired, you're feeling pressure, you're going through transformation. Allow it. I wrote, so we have in our shower, they're called shower notes. And they write even when they're wet, like it doesn't bleed or anything like that. And I wrote in this one of the shower notes, stop resisting your transition. Stop resisting it. Stop resisting the transformation. Stop trying to fix. Stop trying to hold on. Stop thinking that something went wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. We have to get to a place where our center of consciousness is here and not out there. Meaning, if I'm overly identified with the ego, like we were saying earlier, then I'm going to attach to a lot of outside things. I'm going to make all of this stuff around me and my definition of my identity be the reason for my existence instead of allowing all of these things to ebb, flow, and move as they are meant to. And I continuously evolve and change as I am meant to. Things are going to come and go. Personality traits are going to come and go. I know that's wild, but it's so true. Who you be right now is probably going to be wildly different from who you be even just a few years from now. I mean, look back. Look back a few years in the past. Are you the same? Probably not. Probably not. So when we can detach from that faster, you're still going to feel that pressure, you're still going to feel that growth, but you're not going to be making it wrong anymore. And you're not going to be holding yourself down or holding yourself in place because you've overly attached to things that aren't actually who you are. So when we allow the pressure to transform us, this is how we accelerate our reality into a new level. This is how we start to experience a different level of manifestation, of experiences, of everything. So, does this make sense for everybody? When you feel pressure, you're in a season of growth. Be with it, love it, because it's preparing you for something new. It's preparing you for where you got to go. It's preparing you for that next level of life. And when you feel tired, I've had this conversation. I just had a client reach out to me yesterday talking about how tired she felt. I've had over the years, I cannot tell you how many clients, how many women I've worked with that talk about being tired, but then they make it wrong. And they say like, "But I can't. I've got to do stuff. I have to be productive, blah blah blah, all this stuff." And it's like, "Listen, no. You really don't." Like, yes, I understand we have stuff that we've got to do, but the pressure is a choice. Like the pressure you put on yourself. The I'm making it wrong that I feel a certain way, that's a choice. That's something you're doing to yourself. So when you're tired, be tired. Be tired. Don't make it wrong. You know, I can't tell you how many times for the morning show, I made a commitment to be here. Now it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It used to be every single morning for the morning show. There were plenty of mornings where I was super tired, didn't feel like doing it all, but I didn't make it wrong. And I showed up and I just beed in the energy that I was in. We are not required to be bubbly and happy all the time. We're not required to have energy at a 10 all the time. You're going to be tired sometimes. And you're especially going to be tired when you're in an up level season. Like what's happening inside of you when you go through a season like this? Quite literally, think about all the billions of cells in your body. They're all vibrating at a certain vibration. When you're up leveling into a new vibration, all billions of those cells are purging out the old vibration and upgrading to the new one. You imagine the amount of energy that takes? Like, yeah, you're tired. Yeah, it's okay. But be with it and allow the rest you need, because if you don't, you're going to prolong feeling tired. So if you just don't make it wrong and you give yourself the nurture, the rest, and the nourishment that you need, you're going to move through it really quickly. So like just the other day, I was gosh, time is so weird. Day before yesterday? Day before yesterday. Not last night, but the night before last. I slept almost 11 hours. Like I know we don't always have that luxury, but I just want to point out to you, I slept 11 hours and my first thought was, I must have needed that and upgrading my timeline. These are my first thoughts. These are my auto thoughts when it comes to what's happening for me, how I'm feeling. I've tried over the years to make it an absolute priority and point to never make myself wrong for how I feel. And it's tough. I'm Virgo, which basically means autocritical, like automatically critical. You should be perfect. So I've had to learn that about my energy. And I have made it a point to not make myself wrong. If I'm tired, be tired. And when you're in that, understand that it's happening for a purpose. It's happening for a reason. And it's not about you messed up or you did something wrong. It's about, let me just assess what's going on in my life right now. Could be an energetic upgrade. Could be you've had a lot going on. Could be you're in a season of change. Transition is always going to require more energy of you. Could be your hormones have shifted. Could be you didn't eat enough that day. Like, I assess what is the cause of the tired rather than just making myself wrong for not wanting to do things. And another part of this too, and I'll say this and then we'll wrap, you're going to be different every day. So one day you might be super productive, have all the energy in the world, you're good to go. You're like, that was amazing. That was so fun. Whatever it was, you got everything done. And then the next day you may not. Be good with that. Like, be good with that. And realize on the days when you're tired and you're not being productive, this is not your end all be all life sentence. It's just a day. It's just a day. And if you allow yourself to be in that, you create this loving self acceptance with yourself in that, then that's going to allow you to move through it much more quickly. It's going to allow you to actually rest. You know what I mean? Like, doing nothing but overthinking is not rest, right? Doing nothing but making yourself wrong is not rest. That is just exhaustion. So when you're tired, be tired. When you need to sit on the couch, sit on the couch. I've shared this on my stories before. Like, when I'm having those days where I feel tired and I like just can't, what I do is I take my laptop and I go sit on the couch and I just like leisurely do the things that I need to do for my business that day, whatever it is. And I just allow myself to relax as I do it. Now, even if you have to go into a job, this is a mentality thing. This isn't a like what you actually have to do thing. This is, can I do the things that I do in a normal day or on a regular basis from an energy of a relaxed state? Can I move in a way that nurtures me? Can I think in a way that supports me? So it's this mentality switch, but above all, into accepting exactly where you are, loving exactly where you are, and knowing that you're here for a reason and a purpose, and that it doesn't mean something's gone wrong. Amen in the Holly is. Okay. So if you're feeling pressure, get excited because you're in a season of growth. And when you're in a season of growth, it means transformation is happening within you. And it also means that your reality is shifting. So let's go. All right, my loves, I love you so much. If this resonated with you today, please hit likes and the subscribes and all of the things. Please share the show if you know someone who needed to hear this message today. And I will see you back here on Friday. If you have a question that you would like to send into the show, you can submit your question to marlyansel.com/the morning show. And I'll see you here Friday for another episode of The Morning Show. Goodbye, my loves. Have a beautiful rest of your day.